Hi folks, Mr. Long here. This is going to be a screencast on some algebra related to skills like expanding through brackets, solving equations with variables on both sides. Specifically, it's part D on a review, not so much a review, but it could be used as a review of algebra skills for what are called linear equations, so equations with x in them. Okay, or it could be another letter, but we used x in this case. Okay, so this situation is pretty simple. We have to figure out the width of a rectangle if the rectangle has width and perimeter exactly the same. Okay, so here we go. We're going to work through question 2 like we have on all the other examples. And question 2 says the height of a rectangle is 6 and the width is 10x minus 17. Okay, so the height is 6, the width is 10x minus 17. So first thing I did is I drew a picture that showed that rectangle with everything on it. The height of 6 and the width of 10x minus 17. Perimeter is pretty easy, but perimeter is going around the outside, right? So I know I've got, and I can add horizontally or vertically. I've done it horizontally here because eventually that's what we're going to move to. But I've got it 6, I've got this 6 and this 6. Then I've got this 10x and this 10x. And then I've got negative 17 and negative 17 to go all the way around. So of course I have to work with my like terms. And my like terms, I can't add 10x and 10x to any of the constants because I don't know what x is yet. Okay, so they're considered like terms. And then these numbers, they're considered like terms as well, but different like terms. Okay, so I would do, with my calculator, I do 6 plus 6 minus 17 minus 17. And that would give me negative 22. And then I've got 10x plus 10x is 20x's. Okay, 10x plus 10x is 20x's. So that's a perimeter equation now. Okay, so that equation right there represents the perimeter of that rectangle. Again, the issue in this problem is that the perimeter and the area is the same. Next, I've got to get the area. And I know that to get area, I have to multiply the height and I have to multiply the width. So I'm going to do that with the rainbow. And this is called expanding or distributing, expanding through brackets or removing brackets, or just the distributive law, distributive property. So 6 gets multiplied by 10x, but 6 also gets multiplied by negative 17. 6 times 10x is 60x's. 6 times negative 17 is negative 102. Okay, so I'm subtracting 102. Now I have a formula for area. There's my area formula. And I need to set the area equal to the perimeter. So here's my area formula. So there's my area formula right there. 60 minus 102. And then the perimeter formula is 20x minus 22. And those are equal. So there's some number x that will make the left side and the right side of that equation equal. So we know when two things are equal, like if 1 plus 2 equals 3. What happens if I take 1 plus 2 and subtract off 3? What's the answer? Well, it has to be 0 because 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. 1 plus 2 does not look like numerically like 3. They're different numbers. There's more than one number in 1 plus 2, but they're worth the same. So in math, things don't have to look the same to be worth the same, right? So here we have 60x minus 102 is equal to 20x minus 22. I just have to figure out what x makes that true. Okay, so I know this property of if things are equal, if I subtract them, the answer is 0. It kind of makes solving equations easy. So what I do is I do 60x's. Oh, by the way, I put the 20x minus 22 down here because 20x's are less than 60x's. You don't have to do this. I like to do it this way. So 60x minus 20x is 40x's. Okay, and then negative 102 minus negative 22. Here's where it's tricky, right? So you need to use your calculator. Negative 102 minus negative 22. Now, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding. So you can just do negative 102 plus 22, or you can do negative 102 minus negative 22, however you want to do it. And then we get through our inverse operations, of course. once we get to this equation, 40x minus 80, and it would be, so I'm applying these to 0. So it's 0 plus 80 makes 80, divided by 40 makes 2, so x equals 2. Then I can go back to the original question, and my goal is to figure out how wide that is. Okay, how wide is that? Well, it's 10x minus 17 wide. But I have to remember that x is worth 2. So x is worth 2, so that means 10x minus 17 is going to be worth 10 times 2 minus 17. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 minus 17 is 3. Therefore, the width equals 3. Again, I went through this fairly quickly. I'd like you to go back and go over it again if you want to take that time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.